gospel as dark and heavy. Whoever wishes to come after me must take up his cross daily and follow me. Anyone who wishes to save his life will lose it. Only in losing our lives do we find it. What good is there in gaining the whole world if we lose ourselves in the process? Like, these are all kind of dark and heavy sayings, or at least they seem to be. And I think there's a deeper mystery here, which isn't so dark. But if we don't understand it any better than Peter and his brothers, we'll find it too dark to accept. And they didn't accept this yet. And I don't know if I've always accepted it yet in my life either. This mystery, not really of suffering, not really of denial, not really of cross. It's the mystery of love. The lens through which to see the crucifixion of Jesus isn't the lens of blood and struggle and pain. It's the lens of love, the love with which Jesus embraced his cross. And this isn't some Pollyanna love, right? You can tell Peter struck a chord, he struck a nerve with Jesus in today's gospel. And this was hard for Jesus, and he was struggling with the fact, the sadness, the anguish, the fear of what lay ahead of him in Jerusalem. And Peter, trying to help, called him to selfishness, and it struck a nerve, because selfishness is easier than love. And Jesus chooses love, and he invites us to choose love. And love has its demands. Sometimes they're very easy demands, right? There's one piece of pie left, and there's nobody looking, and I can eat the last piece of pie, and nobody will even know it was me, or if they figure out it was me, it won't matter because it will be happily in my belly. Or love can look out for another and see if maybe they wouldn't like a piece of pie. Half at least, right? But maybe even a whole piece of pie because of love. If only that was the only demand that love made. But sometimes love makes other demands. Like, even though I wouldn't go back for dialysis or chemotherapy again, like I've had enough, love demands that I struggle and give and work for those who need me still. That's a demand of love. And forgiveness, so often, is one of the highest demands of love. And the various ways that we can support and listen to each other. I know, like we've heard it 100 times, but to listen to each other, to support and build up one another, especially those we're closest to, in love. Like takes self-denial. But it's not self-denial for the sake of suffering or struggle. Our life will be full of suffering and struggle. Like this doesn't require Christianity for us to suffer. We will all get sick. We will all die. We will all be betrayed. They will lie about all of us, right? That's not a sign of Christianity. Love is the sign of Christianity. And how we embrace the demands of love will speak to this mystery of Christ Jesus. And we could get selfish. We could choose to defend our position. We could choose control over love. We could choose to dominate and be safe and be sure. But we also know in this mystery that is love, that doesn't work. And that our lives are not more full when we try to fill them. Our lives are most full when we give everything to others. And that's not because we've emptied ourselves out. It's because we've loved. because our hearts aren't actually made for stuff. Our hearts aren't made for fancy new cars. Cars are useful. They help us get from one place to the other. Our hearts aren't made for big, protected homes. Homes are very important. They keep the rain off of our heads. And in the hot Texas summer, they might even be air conditioned. But that's not what our hearts are made for. And they don't fill our hearts. And the prestige and honor that comes from a certain address doesn't fill our hearts. And the security and certainty that comes from reserves in the bank or the stock market, it doesn't fill our hearts. What fills our hearts is love. And love has its demands. And if we would respond, if we would submit, if we would give ourselves to the demands of love, I think we would find ourselves more full than empty, the more we give. And we won't be full in the same way as if we'd eaten the last piece of pie, but there is a certain fullness to see the joy on someone's face as they eat the last piece of pie.